The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Saturday Brunch edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. My name is Ron McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts of the program, and you're probably wondering to yourself, where is Dustin? Where's your other half, Dustin? Where's your other half of the show, Dustin? Dustin had to work today, so unfortunately he wasn't able to make it, but I have brought on a couple of special guests. We'll get to them in just a second. Before that, I just want to give you a programming note. We'll be live on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So you won't want to miss that show. We won't have a show next Saturday. We've actually been invited to take part in another show. Talk about the Super Bowl. I believe it's either going to be a Belly Up exclusive show, or it's going to be on the Rising to the Occasion podcast show. I won't get too much details right now, but that's what we're going to be on Saturday morning. That'll be a 9:30 a.m. start. And we'll go back to our regularly scheduled programming starting next week on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Before we get to our panel today, just want to remind you about our social media channels, which are right down here below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/at NoCredsREQ. If you're watching on replay on Rumble, and on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel on the replay, we welcome you there too. And we also want to sincerely ask you to please like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our social media channels, which you'll find right down here below. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast on a myriad of podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, the soon-to-be departed Google Play, wherever you podcast. Rate and review, leave a 5-star review. And if you're on a platform where you can review the podcast, leave us a podcast. We might even read it on the air. And also, since this is a live show, we want you to engage with us. We already got some comments in the comments section. We thank you for coming out and watching today, grabbing a coffee with some bacon or a donut or a cinnamon roll, whatever you fancy. We appreciate you being here, and we're just going to play that magical sound. And again, engage with the show. We want your comments. We got our regular comment from Sapna Sports Ball. She's here today with the sports ball, and she got the pink hand emoji. And one of our guests has already timed in with donuts. So we're going to bring in our guest panel today. I'm going to bring in first, returning to the program. He was on a couple weeks ago with me, filling in for Dustin. We've got from the Time to BS podcast and also the BS sessions with Staniel Smooth. We got Staniel Smooth join us from Long Island. How are we doing today, brother?
That's all you need to know right now. But I'm working on probably context. I got 4 hours of sleep yesterday. And then this past night, I was in and out of sleep. So you're going to get a very rare breed of stupidity and nonsense, and God knows what will come to the fray.
I welcome it. The No Credentials Required is all about stupidity and nonsense and freezing cold takes. So we'll take it. Even on less than 4 hours sleep, we'll take it. There we go.
You didn't get the sound? Oh, there you
I caught the very end of it, but I got you. And
yeah,
also joining us. That's all right. And also joining us from the Belly Up Sports, from BellyUpFantasySports.com. He's been on the program before, but we're going to bring him in because he's also a fellow Seahawks fan like Staniel Smooth. We got Kevin Wilson. Kevin, how are we doing today, sir?
We're doing great. And just in case anyone questions the allegiance, there it is. Bam.
Well done. Well done. So, well, speaking of the Seahawks, we're going to get into it right away. and we're going to talk about the NFL. Every single open coaching position vacancy has been filled. And we're going to talk, of course, Dustin's a Seahawks fan. You guys are Seahawks fans, so perfect timing that this should happen this week, that the Seattle Seahawks hire the new head coach. It's Mike Macdonald, who is the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens this past season. But being Seahawks fans, I want to get your thoughts on this. So, Kevin, I'm going to have you get the floor first. Give me your thoughts of what give me your thoughts on what you thought on the hiring. What you think of the hiring?
Well, I'm pretty jazzed up about it, and I know that before the playoffs began, everybody kind of assumed that Dan Quinn was going to be the man, and so but then the Cowboys crapped all over themselves in that playoff game against the Packers, and all of a sudden he wasn't so hot. And so I'm glad that he is not the man. Mike Macdonald, he's of course he's the youngest coach, and I really like what he did with Baltimore. You can't pin the blame that they're not going to the Super Bowl on their defense. They held the Chiefs to 17 points despite all the problems that they had on offense. So I think, and the Seahawks, they're nowhere near Legion of Boom. And so I think he's going to come in there and really, and they've got some young players on that defensive side of the ball. So he's going to come in there. He's going to do some things on there. He's already said, I'm calling the plays on defense. And I like that he's brought in Leslie Frazier already. He was his head coach over there in Minnesota as the his assistant coach, however you pronounce that, but he's going to be the guy. He's got experience, so I like that. All he has to do is bring on a very good offensive coordinator, and I think we've got this nailed. So I'm pretty excited about all this.
All right, Staniel Smooth, your thoughts on the hiring?
Well, for the offensive coordinator thing, Ryan Grubb from the University of Washington is rumored to be the next offensive coordinator. If any of you guys have watched any Husky tape over the last 2 years, you know how good their offense was over in Washington. Where do I begin? I was very set on, okay, hire the young guy, but I wouldn't be mad if Quinn got the job. I understand Seahawk Twitter is very hostile when something doesn't go their way.
I find Seattle sports Twitter to be very feral.
That's
a good word for it.
Between the Seahawks, the Mariners, the Kraken, the Supersonics. Oh, wait, they don't exist. I'm sorry. Ooh.
Well, in their defense, I understand exactly why they didn't want Dan Quinn, because of one game. It's one game, and you didn't want Dan Quinn. I get it, but Jesus.
Well, I have 28 reasons why, but I could narrow them down to 3 for you if you'd like.
Well, Quinn. Well, nice. I just got that. Nice. Very well done, Ryan. Very well done. You get the Old Spice button.
Yes.
Mike Macdonald, it was either going to be Mike Macdonald or Dan Quinn. Quinn was the safe hire because you know him. He's been here twice as an assistant and as a defensive coordinator. Macdonald is the relative unknown to this whole thing. You don't know what he's going to be, and that's what makes this exciting. Plus, they're banking on this guy being the defensive Sean McVay. He got a 6-year deal. How often do you see that?
Usually it's a 5-year.
Usually it's 4 or 5. Usually it's 4 or 5.
Yeah.
The fact that he got a 6-year deal means that Johnny Boy, old John Schneider, was blown away by the interview, and he has 100% confidence that he's going to make Darrell Taylor, Boy Mafe, Uchenna Nwosu, Draymond Jones, Jaron Reed, possibly Jordan Brooks coming back, maybe both him and Wagner coming back, Julian Love, Quandre Diggs, if he's back, the entire cornerback group, featuring Reek Woolen, Trey Brown, Mike Jackson, Devin Witherspoon, who, if he doesn't win Defensive Rookie of the Year, I will seriously question everything about the NFL voting committee. And they have this other kid, Derek Hall, out of Auburn, who is a massive human being and is too big to be playing outside linebacker, but you never know. I'm excited. I'm very excited. He's very creative, and he's a genius from what we have heard about him. This guy's smart. And that's exciting because I have been a proprietor. For those who do not listen to my show, I've been a proprietor for the better part of 7 years that Pete Carroll has been outdated. And they should consider a coaching change. So I got my wish. There we go.
You got your wish.
Took a little bit. Actually, I was right.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. So Dustin actually is checking in from work. He's watching on Facebook. He says, "Go Hawks. Good morning, gents." He also, and he has more. He says, also, if they truly wanted to move on from Pete, why bring back Quinn, who would have been a continuation of the same vibe, in my opinion.
That was a part of my point. Like, majority of Seahawk fans wanted change, and there was a good chunk of them who were like, the Pete should stay with the team. It's like, first of all, if this team really, like, oh, for God's sakes, I'm going to get in a rant now. If
Good.
Okay, settle in.
So,
right.
Buckle up.
Seahawk fans and majority of Seahawk fans on Twitter were like, oh, Pete Carroll's still a great coach. He's still a great this. The defense will only get better. First of all, if you're a defensive head coach, why in the hell is your defense near the bottom of the NFL the last few years? And if you're so committed on running the ball, why the hell has your running game been bottom of the league for the better part of a few years? Why? Like, I'm sorry that you're running an offense from 1982 and you're still insisted on running that offense. I'm sorry. But the 1982 49ers are no longer around. So my apologies to you, Pete, but I'm sorry. It's 2024, not 1974.
I have to
Good
say,
Lord.
I wasn't nearly as toxic on Pete Carroll as Mr. Smooth down there, but
I was not toxic. I was angry.
Okay, so
there's a difference.
There's a key difference here.
And so I would have been fine if they had gone for another season, but it was getting close. Not 7 years ago, I wouldn't buy into that, but it was. If you're going to let him go, okay. And as you just said, Dan Quinn, they're like twins. He's younger, and and if they wanted Dan Quinn, they could have had him weeks ago, and that wasn't what they wanted to do, and I'm okay with that. And so, especially when I got a first-class view of what happened against the Packers, the bloom was off the rose for me completely after that. And so I'm happy that Dan Quinn is not their head coach.
You're not wrong with that.
Okay.
You're not wrong with that, with saying if the Seahawks wanted Quinn, they would have hired him weeks ago. I don't blame you for that. I'm excited. I think I've had a few days to really think about this, and I've had some time to look over the potential free agents that might come here, the players that might stay along for the ride. And the big question for this whole thing that I don't think 1, 2, 3 are not paying attention to is, does Jamal Adams stay for the ride? And how do they use him?
No.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't think he's staying.
His contract is too big.
So
I agree with you on that
too
part.
big.
I agree with you on that part. I agree with you on that part. I think Jamal Adams is good as gone. I don't blame you. Send him to the moon for all I care. But it brings a lot of questions to, hey, how are you going to use the current players that are there? Because if you look at their draft reports, all the players that they drafted the last few years, they have great tape. Particularly Darrell Taylor, who was rumored to be a first-round pick at one point out of Tennessee. And he's got talent, and I've been excited for him for years. And he can do it. Mafe especially. Both of them can do it.
Yeah, Dustin also continues. It says McDonald also implemented a scheme on defense that just won the national title for the Wolverines.
Creativity. That's the best thing he brings. Creativity.
Right, and we need some creativity in that in the locker room, and I like that he's young. I think that the 6 years definitely speaks to me that yes, John Schneider is all in. Especially in today, where you hire a coach and then send him packing 3 years later, and then you're still paying him. So they're hitched to him, and I'm excited to get started. I wish the season was already getting ready. It was next week. So
then we missed the draft, my friend, and that's not a good thing.
And free agency.
More importantly, those two, yes.
Right. So I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen with my Seahawks.
Yeah, as is my co-host Dustin. I was going to defer to him. And what he thought of this move. Initially, he did say he had some trepidation, but after he watched the press conference, the introductory press conference, he said, "All right, I get it. I understand." And I figured with you guys being Seahawks fans, I was going to defer to you to give me more insight on this hiring. So, and I appreciate it. Yeah, it's always good to have different voices on this program talking about their teams. Of course, you guys being Seahawks fans, but we also got to talk about the other coaching vacancy that was filled this week. The Washington football command skins decided. Thank you, Staniel. Brought back, and I'm sure they had 28 reasons why they wanted to hire this guy, but they narrowed it down to 3. They officially have named Dan Quinn. Oh, come on, that was good.
I love testing out this button awesome. More and more.
That was awesome. Chime in, right? That was awesome.
Perfect timing to use that button.
So they made the move. The Commanders had made the move that made a Commanders fan and football fans everywhere do this. And
if I never see that person again in my lifetime, that'll be just fine with me. That has been going on for 6 years now that we've seen that individual, and if it never happened again, I'd be fine with it.
So I got to read my buddy Drew Willingham, who's been in this program. Great guy, Commanders fan. So I broke the news on Thursday at 11:21 in a group chat, and he says, I see Dan Quinn's coming to the command skins. Thoughts, Drew? And he chimed in about an hour or so later. He says, "Commies pissed in my cornflakes is how I'm feeling right now."
Ooh.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, there's more.
There's
Holy
more.
Okay.
This would be good.
He failed in Atlanta, failed in the playoffs as defensive coordinator and for the Arlington Desperados. That's what he calls the Dallas Cowboys.
Nice.
And looked
nice.
like
I've actually been to a Desperados game back in the day, so that's a nice.
Well done.
Yeah,
that's well done.
Yeah,
very well done.
I believe, if I remember correctly, from my arena football knowledge, because Albany Firebirds coming back this year, so happy about that. The Dallas Desperados had the best regular season record of any arena football team ever, and they got bounced by, I believe it was either the New York Dragons or the Columbus Destroyers.
The Long Island Dragons, for those of you wondering, played at Nassau Coliseum, not that far from me.
With the great Aaron Garcia as the quarterback. Yep, absolutely. So he goes on to continue. And
Okay.
I'm gonna try to censor this because this is a PG program.
Yeah. The children are watching, so we want to be.
The children are not watching Saturday morning cartoons; they're watching No Credentials
That's
Required.
right. They're tuned in right now. So yeah.
That's right. And it continues, and looks like an F boy with his hat turned backwards. All that time searching for this coach, they just eeny, meeny, miny mode for this asinine pick when he could have had Vrabel or someone more credible than F boy Daniel.
Can I cut you off for 2 seconds here? For 2 seconds. How Eric Bieniemy did not even get considered for that job?
Thank you.
I will blow my mind.
Thank you.
How he was right there as your offensive coordinator. As soon as we were hearing rumbles that Ron Rivera might get canned, I was texting my friends back and forth like, there's no conceivable way in hell Eric Bieniemy will not get this job. And how I have been proven wrong, as Washington has proven once again for the last 30 years, they can't get out of their own way.
And they've got a new ownership.
Even with new ownership.
So they need to disconnect from their past. I thought that was what the whole idea was. And so we dove headfirst right back into the mire with this hire, and I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And that goes back to what I was saying. If the Commanders wanted this guy, they could have done this weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean,
So
the Vrabel one would have been more like Rivera because they're basically similar in how they coach. They're both former linebackers. They're both former defensive coordinators. I think Rivera was the defensive coordinator with Philadelphia. I could be wrong.
I'll take your word for that.
Hold on. Real time research.
Someone Google this.
I'm on it.
So yeah, Google this, Ryan, please. You're the smart
one
here.
So he was defensive. So he started his career as a defensive quality control coach. Went to Philadelphia, was the linebackers coach.
That's where I remember him from.
And then went to Chicago and became defensive coordinator. And he also was a defensive coordinator for the San Diego Chargers before he went to Carolina as the head coach.
That's where I remember him from. I remember him from those Charger teams.
Yeah.
But Bieniemy made too much sense. They either maybe considered him for an interview, or maybe they interviewed him and was like, nope, not our guy. Maybe he just interviewed terribly.
There's something that's going on with this guy that goes clear back to when he was in Kansas City, that he's not been hired as a head coach before now. And there's got to be something going on. He doesn't interview well. There's something that's happening that he's not getting a head coaching position.
He can coach. Dude can coach.
Guy can coach.
If they weren't going to hire him, I would have assumed either Bobby Sloak from the Texans, who was from the McVay tree, and then Frank Smith, who's also technically from the McVay tree, if he's the Dolphins' offensive coordinator. If they were going to go young, and creative, assuming they take a quarterback number 2, why not bring in one of those 3?
No, and as soon as Slowick and Ben Johnson said, "We're going to stay here. We're going to stay where we are."
Yeah,
I think they had no choice but to hire Quinn.
The smoking ruins that is the Washington Commanders, and they were like, "We don't want anything to do with that."
Well,
and that's part of the thing too. That's part of my thinking process too, is that I have to wonder if the Harris ownership group. Part of me wants to believe that the Harris ownership group took their time with this hire, which is why they waited for so long. The other part of me said so many other coaching candidates said, I don't want any part of this. And they decided, all right, we'll bring it back.
Yeah.
We'll retread. We'll bring back a retread with Daniel Quinn. With Dan Quinn.
Well, it's not like Quinn is a bad coach.
No,
he can.
I'm not.
He can coach,
he's
but
not the best top choice for a job. That's all.
No, and they have a good defense over in Washington. It's if you want to
inconsistent. It's good, but inconsistent.
Well, they traded their 2 better pass rushers
That's
during
true.
the season last year,
That, as the Bears learned, does not work.
which I still don't know how the hell Chase Young got traded for what was it, a 2nd-round pick?
He got traded for some Nerf football. Is what that?
Yeah,
comes
I
out to.
still don't know how Chase Young got traded for that much, but it's
3rd-round pick.
thank you. I don't know how. I mean, I'm the one to talk as the Seahawks traded for Leonard Williams, but it's the trade market's weird, but I digress. I will go back to this delightful saying. Speaking of Josh Harris, who is one of the owners of the Philadelphia 76ers, what is a delightful saying that 76ers fans have learned?
Trust the process.
Exactly.
That
So
plane crashed about 6 years ago. So
well, I've learned from wrestling that okay, there is a process that needs to be trusted. These guys clearly know something that we don't. We're just 3 dudes behind a computer in front of microphones who just happen to talk about this crap. But that's okay because we're still going to talk about it because that's what we do. That's what we do.
What we do.
Content, baby. Content.
Content, baby. Exactly.
And I think that us 3, as you mentioned, are fairly intelligent. We do some research every once in a while. Every once in a while.
We'll see.
So and I've been a Seahawk guy since way, way back when they were terrible. And so I've been I was a Seahawk fan when it wasn't a good thing to be a Seahawk fan. Okay. And so when it comes to the Seahawks, I think I can speak somewhat intelligently about what's going on up there. So hopefully I have a qualified opinion. That's all.
Well, you mentioned the Seahawk fan thing. Let's bring up an old friend that we know from the 2009 team, Jim Mora. Maybe this is a Jim Mora situation where they hire him for 1 year, maybe to see what they have, and if he goes 5-12, they can his ass.
And they bring back Bill Belichick, comes walking through the door, or Mike Vrabel,
or if we're going to go to the scheme of the Patriots, Bill O'Brien.
Please.
God bless you, Ohio State.
Please don't do that. Please.
Oh, good Lord. Screw you, Ohio. I'm a Penn State fan. I'm here for the salt. Let's go.
Yes, me too. I'm also a Penn State fan.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. So
I'm going to depart from that because I'm a Clemson guy. So I have no.
Oh, you're a Clemson guy.
I am.
Oh, God bless you.
Dustin just chimed in. We don't speak. We don't talk of Jim Mora Jr.
Dustin on that.
Yes, Dustin knows that team well.
Wholeheartedly. He makes some good commercials, but that's the extent of that.
And with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but we want to take one more trip to the comments section. My buddy Rich chiming in with a sports ball comment. He also says, "Ouch, Ryan, Supersonics, low blow."
They're coming back, and that's the thing.
Well, I mentioned this constantly on this show. I said, I remember the day when the Supersonics, or the Sonics they were at the time, were relocated to Oklahoma City, and David Stern promised to the fans in Seattle. He said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna bring the Supersonics back. We're gonna have an expansion franchise."
Well,
and who swoops in almost 20 years later? The NHL with the Seattle Kraken.
Well, here's the thing.
Which is one of the great names in sports of all time.
It is a pretty damn
correct. And the logo is beautiful. But let's talk about before we go to commercial, let's talk about that. The NBA is going to expand. For the way they have been growing the last 10, 15 years, they're going to expansion. And that's, I think everyone in their marbles are expecting the Sonics to come back. Whether they, and it's literally right there, Climate Pledge Arena, right there. They've rebuilt Key Arena into Climate Pledge for that reason. It's going to happen. And then the other one is Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas is gonna happen. So expansion is coming. When exactly, we don't know.
And let me
They're
just
also
say that
they're also looking at
the Supersonics had the greatest opening, scenes before, when they're introducing the starting lineup that has ever come down. If you've never seen it, you need to go on YouTube and pull that up. Supersonics, starting roster, starting lineup introduction, and watch that. It'll give you chills.
Dustin also says coach in waiting should still be in waiting.
No,
So,
he's right. He's right.
That's right.
This is a Jim. It's a Jim Mora thing. It's a Jim Mora thing. It's a 1 year. It's a 1 year and hire the next guy.
Yeah. My brother Josiah, my friend brother Josiah, chiming on a sports ball, and Rich also said Sean Kemp's Kamikaze 1 and 2s were so cool.
Ooh, great reference.
That's right.
The 93 Sonics.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what we're watching outside, because there's no NFL this weekend. So we're going to talk about what we're watching. And we'll also pay tribute to an acting legend. So stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air-roasted, 100% money-back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. It's the only coffee that goes in this mug and the French press beside me. It's Invader Coffee. Invader Coffee, a veteran-owned company based out of Texas. I believe they're based out of Austin, Texas. Great coffee. I'm drinking the Break in Case of Emergency blend. I've also got some of the Bad Santa blend, which is the holiday blend. I'm pretty sure they're still in stock. So we get yourselves the holiday blend, which also features the Jolly Java and the Cookie Crumble. But any of the blends from Invader Coffee, it's great stuff. So what you want to do is visit the link in the description, either on YouTube or Facebook or on the podcast side. Visit our affiliate link in the description. Buy yourself some coffee and get 15% off your order with promo code BELLYUP. Now, I just want to warn you, you may pay a little bit more for shipping, but that's okay because the stuff you order shows up in a matter of days, not in a matter of weeks. They roast it fresh, they put it right in the bag, they ship it right to your door, and it really is the best coffee your money can buy. So go to the link in the description, which is our affiliate link, and our promo code BELLYUP at checkout. You get 15% off your order with any purchase of Invader Coffee. Invader Coffee, fuel for the fearless. So we're going to talk about what we're watching instead of the NFL this weekend, because obviously there's no football this weekend. We got the bye week between the championships and the Super Bowl, which is next Sunday. I guess if you want to watch the Pro Bowl, if that's still your thing,
please don't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't do it to yourself.
There's a lot more important things to do.
There's
a lot more important things to watch too. So I'm gonna start with you, Staniel. What's your preferred thing to watch, whether it be sports wise, whether it be movie wise, television wise? What's your preferred? What are you doing to get through to Super Bowl?
See, I'm old school in this regard.
Okay.
I'm an old soul with this discussion. Well, when the All-Star break is done for hockey, I'm watching hockey.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not watching hockey, I am. I don't know if you guys can see, you can't. So on my TV stand, on my collection of consoles, I have. This will be in probably your department, Ryan. The PS2, the Xbox 360, the Wii, the GameCube, and somewhere tucked in the corner is the Xbox Series X right there.
Okay.
Big giant box. But that's what I'll be doing because I can't stand online gaming and I am a console boy left and right. I will die on this hill. I am an old school gamer and I can't stand New school gaming. If you enjoy the game, play the bleeping game. Problem solved. But that's I followed the rule. I followed the rule, right? Don't yell at me. I know the rule.
You know the corner booth rule. You get one F-bomb. You get one F-bomb.
No, I did do it. I didn't do it. I know
right.
the Jared rule. I know the Jared rule.
Jared rule.
Yeah. He's a different
Kevin,
character altogether.
Kevin, what are you watching or listening or tuning into?
If anybody is not aware, today we have the greatest rivalry game in all of sports, and I'm ready to take on all comers in this regard, and that is Duke, North Carolina. That's the best rivalry to be found in sports. It's not Michigan and Ohio State. It's not the Yankees and Red Sox. It's
not Vanderbilt football versus a 500 record.
That's true. And so, because if you go back and you look at this, one time through, 100 games, it was like 51-49. These guys are always in the top of their game. And there was like a 5-point differential between the two of them in a 100-game sample. And so these guys always bring their A game. They're in the top 10, both of them, even though North Carolina somehow lost to a Georgia Tech team that has a losing record, but I digress in that. But so today, Duke, North Carolina is going to have to happen. And if we want to talk to movies, I see you got your Godzilla symbol over there. So if you have not watched Godzilla -1, you need to do that immediately. It is by far the best Godzilla movie we've had in a long, long time. And so get out there, see it, experience it. You'll be glad you did.
All right. I'm going to take the floor here.
The Red Wings and Blackhawks rivalry from the early 90s would like a word, by the way, Kevin.
You can have all the words you want in that regard, but I'm sticking to Duke and North Carolina.
So I got a couple of recommendations, or also a couple things I'm watching that I also recommend. I'm watching Six Nations Rugby, which is Ireland, France, England, Italy, Scotland, and Wales. They come together every year throughout February and March, and they play a series of round-robin games that determines who the best Northern Hemisphere rugby teams are in the world. There's the Southern Hemisphere equivalent, which is called the Rugby Championship. That's usually between New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, and Argentina. And no, you wouldn't think Argentina. When you think rugby, you don't think Argentina right away. Argentina is a tough team to play. But I'm watching Six Nations Rugby. I was introduced to rugby a long time ago, and I used to play rugby myself. But now I follow it pretty regularly. So Six Nations, of course, with the last name McCarthy. Of course, I'm rooting for Ireland. Gotta do it. For movies,
gotta do.
Exactly. I mean, USA Rugby is okay, but when it comes to my lineage, Ireland is where it's at.
Okay.
I might watch the replay of the Royal Rumble from last week. I watched it last week while I was ridden with the flu. Fortunately, I'm much better now.
We're glad to hear that too, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, unlike last week's program where I was just dying. So I might rewatch the Royal Rumble. I might watch a movie or two. I meant to watch Groundhog Day yesterday, but I got invited out to it with some friends.
Okay, that's
so
solid.
I gotta watch Groundhog Day.
Solid.
And I also might watch Caddyshack again. So
well, that's
yeah,
solid.
So,
that's you can't go wrong there.
Well, here's the thing. Like when I see GIFs about Groundhog Day, the gopher from Caddyshack comes up for some reason. I'm like, that's a gopher. That's not a groundhog.
Right.
So it drives me a little nuts. But I said to myself, you know what? I think I'll watch Groundhog Day and Caddyshack. I might go down to the Albany Firewolves lacrosse game today. We'll see. I've got a little bit of a heel issue that I'm working on, but hopefully I'll be able to go down to the arena and catch some live lacrosse. If you haven't watched box lacrosse or indoor lacrosse, Go to a live game if you have it in your municipality. I know Staniel Smooth, he's got the New York Riptide. They play at the old Nassau Coliseum. Kevin, the Panther City Lacrosse Club. I don't know if they play near Dallas. I'll have to look it up.
Either. I'll have to look into that.
Hang on, let me look up where they play. Panther City.
And while you're doing that, if we're talking about something we should watch, Matt, and a TV show, if I may throw that in, if you haven't watched Reacher, you need to do that.
I've heard good things about
show.
it. They Panther City
show. Season 1's better than season 2. I'll just throw that in there, but they're both awesome. So if you're looking for something to watch, Reacher.
I also need to check out the last season of Letterkenny, season 12. It's the last series. It's the last season. Panther City Lacrosse Club plays in Fort Worth. They play at they play at Dickies Arena.
Less than an hour.
Yeah, they play at Dickies Arena. I don't know if they're playing tonight. Let me check the schedule here. But
you guys are getting full-blown donut content, by the way.
Nice.
We're seeing that right now.
Yeah, this is a rare time. This never happens.
She's a happy kitty. She's definitely a happy kitty.
This never happens when we're doing a podcast. This never happens.
Trust me, my cat wouldn't get up here and do that with me for anything.
My cat is currently on my bed with an electric throw blanket, and he is just he hates being cold, so he's having the time of his life. So yeah, that's what we're doing. And instead of watching football, instead of watching the NFL, we're watching movies, playing video games, watching other sports. So leave a comment down in the comment section. Let me know. Let us know what you're doing.
Yeah, what's Dustin watching while he's supposed to be working? That's what we want to know.
Dustin's watching this program.
Well, besides, when we're done, what's he gonna switch to? That's what we want to know.
I'm pretty sure he's a gamer too. He's a video gamer. He loves these video games too. I believe he's got a PS5. He actually does a pretty cool thing every year around November. He does a charity called hooks up with a charity called Extra Life, and what he does is he sets that a goal to play video games for 24 hours while raising money for one of the local children's hospitals. So
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, and he puts it up on his Twitch channel. He's a big video game guy. So he'll probably be playing video games. Dustin, if you're out there, let us know what you're doing this weekend instead of NFL. There we go. Podcasts, video games, movies, TV. There you go.
We need more specifically. What's the word? Specify.
We need specifics. Oh, he also says thanks for thanks for the plug. So yeah, every November, late October, early November, Extra Life. Check it out. It's pretty cool. All right, we're gonna move on to our last segment. Carl Weathers, the legend, Carl Weathers.
I found that out last night. Apparently, he died on Thursday, but I didn't find out about it till last night.
No, apparently he passed away on Tuesday, and his family didn't.
Tuesday? I thought it was Thursday.
Yeah, passed away on Tuesday, and his family released it yesterday, saying that he passed away. Carl Weathers, in addition to being a really great action actor, he also played professional football.
Was he with the Raiders back in the day?
He was
with the Oakland Raiders, he also played with the BC. He also played with the
to this day. Okay.
Yep. Also played with the BC Lions in the CFL before he went on to become an actor. So I just want to know, you guys, Kevin, I'll start with you. What are some of your favorite roles that Carl Weathers that you remember Carl Weathers from?
Aside from Rocky, of course, but Predator has to go up on that. And I'm trying to remember the name. That's that came out in the 80s, and he was a police officer, and Sharon Stone was in it, and the coach, the guy that was on Coach, and let me Google this.
I'll look it up on IMDb right now.
Okay, that was a movie that he was one of the first, maybe the first, that he was the star in, and I always appreciated it. And the guy that was the coach, he was known for his comedy roles, but he played an awesome bad guy in that movie. So, if we're talking about movies and stuff, maybe you might want to switch over to some Carl Weathers, and just play him back to back, and you'll be fine. I can't believe I can't think of the name of this movie.
Happy Gilmore.
Well, Happy Gilmore is also an excellent movie, especially when he was walking around with his hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was also in Little Nicky. He played Chubbs in Little Nicky too.
Okay, here we go.
Well, I'm looking up the movie. I'm trying to find it myself.
Such a great character. Such a great character.
Was it? Let's see. Action Jackson.
Action Jackson.
Yeah,
that is an awesome movie. That from back in the day, and so we're recommending movies. Action Jackson goes to the top of my list, and let's see what else we got going on here. The Sasquatch Gang. I'm not familiar with that movie, but it sounds interesting.
He was also in Serpico. Oh, well, the TV series Serpico.
Okay.
Barnaby Jones, Streets of San Francisco.
He was
in
on
Close
an
Encounters of the Third
episode of
Kind.
Kung Fu. How about that?
Wow.
I wonder if he got his rear end beat by Kung Fu. I don't know how that worked out, but he was on Starsky and Hutch. Wow, $6 million man. It just goes on from there. The Shield. That was a great. When you talk about a series that was awesome, The Shield.
Mm-hmm.
It was an episode of ER. Psych. I remember that. So there's all kind of shows. Chicago PD. Chicago Justice, which I like that show, was only on for 1 year.
Yeah, he was in a lot of cartoons too. A cartoon. He was actually the voice of Jax in Mortal Kombat X, the video game.
What a great name too.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was in He was also in Toy Story 4 as a voice in the voice Toy Story 4.
Oh no.
Yeah. There was also Grief Karga and The Mandalorian. That was his last notable role. But yeah, Staniel, give us some thoughts. Carl Weathers, who your like the most memorable roles that you know. I mean, you mentioned Chubbs in Happy Gilmore.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I remember him with the Raiders. Well, my dad's a Steeler fan. He would tell me some stories about those old Raider teams from the 70s and the 80s. Like Jack Tatum and them boys.
They were serious back in the day.
Yeah, they were. Jack Tatum should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way, just throwing it out there, but he's not. It's a shame. But I've always remember him from Rocky. I will always remember Apollo Creed from Rocky. That is my core memory of Carl Weathers playing Apollo Creed from the Rocky franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Up until Rocky 3?
You could throw 4 in there, and that's fine.
4,
but
thank you.
Don't ever throw Rocky 5 in there.
That
was absolute garbage.
Yes. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
Garbage.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like the entire Star Wars sequel trilogy. We don't mention that.
No, we don't need to get into that at all. And it was interesting because in that
Screw Disney.
When he started out as Apollo Creed, he was a guy that you wanted to hate, right? Especially in part 2. He was an absolute person that you wanted to see get their ass kicked. But then the third one comes around, and all of a sudden now they're working together, and so that was one of the things I enjoyed from those movies. That people could show that they could expand themselves and and look outside themselves. Even in that movie he was doing that just so he could get a rematch at the end of Rocky 3. But I enjoyed all those movies, and of course he died in part 4, and so that just helped part 5 slide off the mountainside. And so if you want to put, there's time. If I see Rocky, and I pass by and it's on TV, I'll sit down and watch it. To this day.
It's one of any of the Rocky movies with the exception of Rocky 5. If it's on TV, I'm watching it. If I just glance by, I gotta watch it. I have to watch it.
Can I
But yeah,
ask a
right.
question? Can I ask a question for those of you who are into the video editing format? What video editing software do you guys use? Now, this is on my mind.
This is way
I
outside my purview. So, Ryan,
I use Adobe Premiere Rush.
Okay, thank you.
It's
That's all.
it's included with my subscription to I have a subscription that I use for Audition, so that's included with my
Okay.
subscription to Audition.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep. Get some more comments in the comments section here. My buddy Rich, 3 guys hanging out, watching movies and talking cats. I presume he's talking about us. Come back soon, football. I also watch. He's watching no huddle games on YouTube. I presume he meant football from the 70s or 80s during the off season. Rich is also a big college football guy. I believe he's an Oklahoma fan. So yeah, he's a
yeah, we won't hold that against them down here in Texas.
No. Eh.
okay with that. Jim Ross, long live Jim Ross. Sick Diggy joining us from Norway says greetings to one and all. He also says nice couch to Staniel.
Oh, right. That is pretty awesome back there.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Do you want a story behind that? You want to
Go for it.
It's a great story. That couch was $20.
Wow.
That couch was so we have this thrift store called Angela's House here on Long Island, not that far from me, like 10 minutes away. And they have like furniture in great condition for cheap. I probably got what I got. I got the coffee table behind me. I got the end table right there. And that couch probably for like $50 total.
Nice.
So whenever you guys are here on Long Island, oh, it's phenomenal.
So if I
Dude,
need
I'm only
shopping advice, you're the guy to come to.
I'm only a 3-hour drive, my friend. Yeah, I'm only a 3-hour drive, buddy. Yeah, so I mean,
It's
for
a lot
me, Carl,
than 3 hours from where I am. So
no, yeah, remembering Carl Weathers for me, obviously the Rocky movies, the Rocky was 1 through 4, had a great role as Grief Karga in Mandalorian. It was awesome to see Carl Weathers in that role in the Star Wars universe. And also for me, I used to watch Arrested Development pretty regularly. He played himself as an acting coach for Tobias Funke, and he would always give these tips about acting, but also outside of acting on how to live also how to live the actor's life. So I remember one couple scenes from that. It's like, yeah, they're sitting there in a fast food restaurant. He's like, you get free refills with this drink. He saves some money with some free refills. And also, he holds up a steak. I think it was a steak bone or a pork chop bone. Looks at Tobias Funke, says, he goes, oh, making some great soup out of this. You just gotta get this bone, some broth, and an onion. Get yourself some soup, baby. Love it.
Carl Weathers. One of the great lines in a movie ever. There is no tomorrow. So
that's right.
You got that.
Right.
This is true.
Rich also saying, correct, Ryan, Oklahoma. Thanks, buddy. And yes, football no huddles are edited down to 40 minutes for a full game. Sometimes I'll watch an entire rebroadcast if super bored. He also says, good show, guys. Thanks, Rich, for joining us. We appreciate
that.
All right. Before we get out of here, gonna give the floor to the guys. Let them plug their stuff. Let them they'll let us know what kind of content they're putting out. So Kevin, I'm going to start. Actually, yeah, Kevin, I'm going to start with you. Where can people find you?
Well, if you, because it is February, and so fortunately enough, we will be having spring training in a couple of weeks. And so if you go to the Belly Up Fantasy website, you will find articles from me. Right now, I've been, this past couple of weeks, been writing specifically about baseball and fantasy. And my latest article on there is I rank catchers. And so that's on there. And also tomorrow at apparently 8 o'clock Eastern, which I believe is where time begins, 7 o'clock Central where I am. Vince and I will be on the Sports Stove Fantasy Baseball show, so you'll definitely want to check that out. And I've got all kinds of articles on the Fantasy Belly Up Fantasy website, so you want to get over there and just click my name and just go to town.
All right. Staniel Smooth, where can the people find you?
At Staniel Smooth on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. At Time to BS Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Find the podcast page at Time to BS with Staniel Smooth. Potentially new logo coming soon, or going back to the OG logo back from the very early days of the program. So that's gonna be fun. It's a nice logo. It's a nice logo. I'm very torn on the current one and on the OG one. I'll probably let the group chat figure this out.
Okay,
All right.
so if you want to check me out on Twitter or X or whatever the heck it is over there, you can
Still
always
call it
go
Twitter.
to. It's all Twitter to me, okay? But it's Kevin62 WILSEA. That's right. I got C even in my Twitter handle, so that just goes to show how much I'm into the Seattle Seahawks.
Well,
There we
also, I figured since you're also a Navy veteran, the sea
That's
is where
right.
you
That works
where you
too.
live.
That's right.
Yeah.
That'll certainly
Yeah.
work.
See,
All right.
gotcha. All
All right.
right.
There
and
you
as
go.
as for this show, you can find us on the social media channels down below: Twitter, Instagram, and the semi-used TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/ at NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast on either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, the soon-to-be departed Google Play, wherever you podcast. Leave us a rating and a review. A 5-star rating would be very helpful. If you're on a platform where you can review, please review, and we'll even share it on the air. And if you're watching on either the replay on Rumble or on the Belly Up YouTube channel, hit that like button, leave a comment for us down below. You have tuned in to No Credentials Required, the Saturday Brunch edition where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. For Kevin, for Staniel, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Thanks for joining us. We'll be
Everybody
back.
have a great Saturday.
That's right. Everybody have a great Saturday. Dustin and I will be back on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tune in then. Until next time, have a great Saturday.
Smoke weed every day.
Smoke them if we got them.